Alright, so today we had another weekly Warriors Den live stream. Man, it's been a while since I've said that. And today they gave us a bit more info on what to expect in the upcoming update. We now know who the next hero is, and they gave us a little bit more info about the core combat update, as well as letting us know about Orochi and Highlander changes. So today, I'm just going to do a quick recap for you guys and give my thoughts on a few things. I'm only going to be talking about the new stuff for the most part, as we already know what's coming when it comes to the core combat update, but there is some new stuff to go over. Now, if you watch these videos somewhat regularly, I'd really appreciate it if you sub to the channel, as it really helps me out. Now let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the new hero. So in the stream today, UB confirmed that everything we talked about yesterday was correct, and that the Warmonger will be the new hero. So that hero that you're fighting in Tyrant's Test is the hero we'll be receiving on August 6th. The reception I've seen to this so far has been pretty positive. I'd say it's about 75-25. Because, as we mentioned, we're seeing a lot of similarities between the moveset we're seeing in Tyrant's Test and heroes that are already in the game. Now, everything isn't totally one-to-one, but it feels as though some of the animations are animations that we already have in-game, and they've just been tweaked and redone a bit to make them look like new moves. And some things like Warden's Point emote is really recognizable, so are his lights and heavies and guard break. Now, I'm personally not too pressed by this because at the end of the day, all I really want is a solid hero, and it's looking like this hero can be pretty good and usable for the most part. I do hope, however, that when things get back to normal and whatnot, that their animations will get a bit more polish or be changed entirely, because what we're seeing now isn't the most smooth, especially when compared to other heroes who generally have some really good animations for everything. It is obviously going to be a knight hero if everything stays the same, which I mean is fine. This would obviously mean that the knights will now have 8 heroes, while the Vikings and samurai have 7, and the Woolens still sit with 5. Now, how you feel about that is up to you. There's still another hero on the way that we don't know anything about, but regardless, 7s across the board is something we won't be seeing. Despite what we've seen so far, I'm still looking forward to using this hero. I want to get my hands on them first before I say anything for sure, as with everything else. So time will tell whether or not this hero will be a lot of fun, but from an aesthetic standpoint, I think they look good. I like the armor on this hero a lot. The 4 sets we've seen so far in game look good, and the weapon they're using, despite whether or not the way they wield it is totally authentic, which is a point of contention in and of itself, but I think the weapon looks good. I don't know too much about the weapon itself, so I can't really chime in there. It's looking like edge is sort of their thing too, which goes hand in hand with the story they're telling, so who knows. Maybe the next hero will be their counterpart, as we've seen in that very first teaser they showed for year 4. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the Warmonger is the hero we'll be receiving on August 6th. They did release a roadmap for what's to come. On it, we see that the Tyrant's Test game mode will be going on until the update, where we see the Warmonger release. What I'm confused about, however, is how we're going to get access to the hero. It says that the hero will be available for 15,000 steel on August 20th. Maybe I missed it, and if I do find out the answer, I'll put it in the pinned comment below the video. But do we get access to the hero if we bought the battle pass for the season, or are we going to buy the hero separately with money? I don't really know. Anyways, when the content drops, it'll be accompanied with another event pass, just like we saw with the Prince of Persia event. There will be 35 tiers for us to grind through, so hopefully there's some cool stuff in there. I am pretty confident that a lot of people will main this hero just for the armor and sword alone, even if they don't feel great. I know Warden mains were hoping for some of this stuff, and there are some similarities here, so I guess you'll just have to use both, who sort of oppose each other. Next up, while talking about the core combat changes, UB let us know that 2 heroes are receiving some updates. There could be more, we don't know yet since the patch notes aren't out, but the 2 heroes who we know will receive work are Orochi and Highlander. So starting off with Orochi, he has 2 changes that we know of. 1, his light chains are being slowed back down to 500 milliseconds, and 2, he is now getting a top-heavy finisher unblockable. I'd liked seeing the changes, however, I'm a little confused. Sure, the core fight changes are going to make lights land more often, but I'm not really sure why they slowed these down, especially considering that light finishers are going to allow the opponent to get the next move anyways, and with lights costing more stamina to throw, plus lights sort of being in Orochi's identity. There are plenty of people happy about this because light spam is an issue to them, but I'm not really on the whole light spam needs to go thing, or the way Yubi is really honing in on trying to tackle it for those who do have issues with blocking light attacks. And yes, I'm glad that Orochi has an unblockable top heavy. I think it's fine and should work a bit with feints being a bit more believable, but if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that Yubi was opposed to giving Orochi an unblockable due to wanting to keep his identity intact, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, it is what it is. Again, like with everything, we've got to get our hands on it first. This doesn't save Orochi. This won't really make him too much better than he is now, as his problems aren't really addressed here. I am hoping that they've got more for him though. Highlander, on the other hand, got one change that we know of. His lights are being sped up. So both his chain and neutral light are being bumped up to 500 milliseconds, and they'll still have the same properties that they have now. I saw a lot of people happy about this. It definitely isn't going to make Highlander an absolutely amazing hero, but I mean, it's something. I don't know everything that's going to be in the patch notes, so only time will tell whether or not we get more changes for heroes. I wasn't expecting too much when it came to the hero department, mainly because of the core fight changes, but if we get more, I'll be happy. Speaking of that, they also mentioned that feats are being worked on. It was hinted at that health feats are seeing some work, which is what I expected, and I'd be happy if they did some major work with feats as a whole, but they didn't show off any of the feats yet, so for now, we're just stuck with a tease. Now, we didn't get too much new info on the core fight changes. They let us know a lot of what we already know, but they did want us to know that light attacks are something they're working on. They let us know that a lot while they were talking today, and as I said not too long ago, I'm not too thrilled that making light attacks feel more fair is a headline to them and is an issue that is receiving so much attention. The new info they gave us though is that light attacks will cost more stamina across the board. They'll cost 12 stamina, which isn't all too much, and will cost less than a blocked light now, so that's something. I don't really have an issue with the changes themselves. If you weren't getting hit by light attacks too often in the first place, or you've been playing for a while, this doesn't really bother you. I just don't want Yubi to double down and try to make things worse for the sake of fixing an issue that doesn't really need too much attention. Right now, this is going to help players who get hit by lights consistently and consecutively, and for players who don't have an issue for lights, it'll make clearing minions take a bit longer. Again, I don't really have a problem with them addressing lights per se, because in the long run it won't really affect, long-time players. I just don't want them to go hard on light attacks if these changes don't perform the way that they're hoping. That's all. Now to wrap things up, Yubi did release a quick blog post today giving a rundown on the changes coming. Not all of them, of course, but they talked about their reasonings and whatnot, and I'm not going to go over everything, but there is some stuff in there for those who want to read it. I do want to point out what they said at the end about what's coming next, as some people were a little confused. It says, with these changes to address the risk reward of using light attacks, we're confident we'll be able to get the vast majority of our players across all platforms and all skill levels to adapt to our new offensive meta. We are not planning to do a second testing grounds. We feel confident that the first testing grounds provided enough data to allow us to identify the major pain points to address, and therefore these changes will be in the game on August 6, 2020 as a core combat update. Once released, we will be monitoring the situation closely to make the necessary adjustments as swiftly as possible, and we will be relying a lot on your feedback, so we'll be counting on you to keep it coming, which we will. The team is super excited for these changes to go live. We're confident this will make For Honor healthier, with more dynamic games that are more fun to play and watch, especially in competitive settings. Please note that the changes mentioned in this article are not the only changes that will be part of the core combat update, but we'll share more details about specifics as we get closer to August 6th. Until then, stay tuned. I saw a few people take this as them not doing testing grounds anymore, which I don't take as the case. This is just them saying that the core combat update isn't going through another phase of testing. They're going to be released in 2 weeks. They also pointed out that there's more to the update, and I'm hoping that they go over it next week and not, a few days before the update. Now, next week, there will be another Warriors Den live stream where they'll be going over the new hero, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information there. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. I like today's live stream. We finally got info as to what the new hero is. We know who they are. We got some word on some hero work, and now we know for sure that we're getting another deep dive on this hero. Real quick before I go, thank you to all of you who showed up to today's live stream and hung out with me. I really appreciate you all. I'll definitely be doing another watch party next week when the hero is revealed, when they're doing the deep dive, so be sure to sub to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out. As always, I do want to hear from you guys, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you like the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.